Alright guys, welcome back to another recap. The last day of this month and Halloween, so happy Halloween. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there. If you can go take some kids out, trick-or-treating, or anything you do, y'all be safe. But let's get to the recap. So today, finishing up the day, $873 profit. Like I said, it's the last day of this month, but first day of this week. So already starting off to a good week. Pretty easy day, I think. I took 2 or 3 trades, and that was it. There wasn't a lot of continuation. There was one trade that I let go that I was up $500 on, and I let it go, and I only made like 90 bucks, so I missed out on that one. And then I think I really fumbled the bag on SONN. There was a lot of setups, and I'll explain them. I totally missed these setups. I saw them. I was like, oh, this should be a good play to buy. One of them I didn't buy, and the other one I bought in a little too early, took a little bit of profit, and then this thing ended up just absolutely ripping afterwards. So I'll go over those as well. For everybody that's new here, if you guys like my recap, if you're going to watch this recap, you guys got some knowledge out of it, you just like it overall, make sure you hit the thumbs up. If you're not subscribed and you want to see more recaps every single day, just hit the subscribe button. And then also I stream live every single day completely free. If you guys want to watch me trade live completely free, 15 minutes before the market opens, just hit that notification bell and you'll be notified right here on YouTube or on tradecaster.com. If you go to tradecaster.com, cancel the payment. It's completely free. You don't have to pay to watch me there. And that's going to be it for the intro. Let's go over the trade. So I'll go over EFSH, which is where I made the majority of the money. And then I'll explain the trade on SONN that I took, and then the ones that I missed on SONN. So EFSH was one of the top gappers this morning, and one of the only ones that I really see moving into the open. Didn't really like anything else. So this one, out of the gates, popped up a new high. It actually, the last minute of pre-market, hit a new high. It kind of pulled back. And these for first minute candles, 2-minute candles on Thinkorswim or any other platform, I wouldn't recommend taking them, especially if you're not advanced, if you're not already a good trader. Because some of the times these first 1-minute candles can completely reverse. You might think that this stock is looking strong, and that first 1-minute candle is opening up, and then out of nowhere, in that first minute or two, these candles can absolutely flush or absolutely rip. So I always kind of just wait at least 2, 3, 4 minutes, and then I see what trade I can find after that. So the trade that I did take on this one was, hey, let's see if this thing actually opens up, which it did, and then let's see it actually hold, right? If this thing pushes up and then absolutely flushes, and I'm not longer interested. But if this thing pushes up and then kind of holds it 2 or 3 candles, then I'm kind of interested on this thing. My target on this one was 350, just get the $half breakout on this one. And then on the daily, I had some resistance on this one at 333, which is that kind of pivot that we were trying to hold. That's my daily resistance over here. You guys can see right next to my camera. This is the 350, and after that I was looking, so 333, sorry, 350, and then I was looking for $4, so you can see I already had it marked. On this one, so I took that first trade right there, kind of pushed up, and then on the 5 minutes it was kind of flagging with low volume, so it kind of pushes up here, and then it starts flagging. And I took an ad on that candle right there, 5,000 shares. And this is the trade that the second I bought it, it instantly started going up, popped up to that 333. And 333 was my daily resistance, but 333 became a very important level today just because of the daily. Today was held a lot. And so 333 stumbled there. And the second this thing spiked up to 333 again when I was in the trade, instant red orders came in and flushed that candle all the way back down. At that point, I thought this thing was going to flush, and so at that point, I got a little bit scared and kind of got shaken out of that trade, so I completely covered like down here. So I barely bought. I sold a little bit. I had 3,500 shares up to the break of 333 up to 350. Flash red. Everything on time of sales was red. Instant rejection. I got shaken out of it, so I closed it out there, and that's the one that I only made 90 bucks, even though at the top of this candle here, I was up 500, 540, I think, at the most that I saw. So if I would have gotten that, held it a little bit longer, and then gotten this pop up to 350, I could have sold a little bit more, but then again, never really broke 350, and that was the target that I was looking for. Then this thing kind of tried flushing. I was looking at 306 dip. 306 was previous market high, and so I was looking to see if that 306 wanted to hold that support. And I saw this first candle spike down to 306, but when I was looking at this candle in real time, volume was increasing and it looked really heavy. It was just pushing down, pushing down, pushing down. Got to that 306, and because of that volume increasing and the time on sales just feeling heavy, I didn't take that trade at 306. I didn't feel comfortable taking that trade, so I let it go. And then at this point, it kind of like retraced back up, held VWAP, and then I was like, You know what? That was pretty heavy, pretty aggressive for that drop down, and there was no continuation, no more sellers piling in here for the crack of VWAP. You know, these two candles here basically had no volume after an attempt to flush. So I was like, you know, this to me was telling me there's a lot of sellers. This to me is telling me that they're not really playing this that aggressive. And so the next dip that happened back to that 306, that's when I was like, you know what, this time I really am in. I'm gonna take this trade here. One, because we already cleared the three support there. We already confirmed the support there, so now there's gonna be more buyers here. And two, I didn't think there's gonna be a lot of shorts flushing this stock. Now, from the very early morning, I can tell the stock was filled with sellers. I mean, all of these rejections up here in the first 10 minutes was filled with shorts. Every little pop, like I said, it was popping down, popping down, popping down, and then flush. But I took that trade there, 5,000 shares. Didn't get that 306 fill. I got 311, so actually kind of high fill. But that's the trade that I took there, 5,000 shares, and then started popping up. I let go of some shares here, and then I let go of some shares here, and finally the rest out at the top. But I went from 90 bucks green on this ticker with this trade here to being up almost $700 on this trade here. I think the most I was up was maybe $800 on this trade, but I was able to give a little bit profits off the back there on that trade because I didn't sell the top, and so I locked I think almost $700 on that trade. Very close to 700. It's like 680, I think. And then you can see I still had some carried over that I stopped out here. And then this move here, as soon as this candle popped up with this decent volume and finally cleared that 333, so there's my 333 line. You could see all morning long we didn't really have a close over 333 except this candle, and that's kind of like a give back a lot. It's got a pretty high wick and then reverse. So when this candle popped up with that high volume and closed very strong, at that point I took a little micro pullback on this candle here up there at 340s. And was able to get the break to 350 that I was looking for. So I sold 355, 64, and then some of them at stop even down, at break even down here. So that's the trade that finally put me 770. And I think this is the trade at the very top of this trade. I think I was very close to $900 on the name. I think 870, 880. But flushed down, stopped me out of break even, and so I let go of that remaining. After that, I didn't really care for this stock. You know, I mentioned on stream, I was like, this is probably one of those stocks that goes sideways all day long, and I had kind of this range on it, something like that. And it actually is holding, it's going sideways. Doesn't mean it's going to be done. Hopefully this thing can go sideways all into tomorrow and maybe puts in another leg tomorrow, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But that was pretty much the only trades on EFSH in the majority of my profit, so that's where I made $772. The next stock is going to be SONN, and SONN absolutely fumbled the bag, absolutely traded this stock. Not very good. I mean, I think all of my trades were green, so let me see. Yeah, so every trade that I took on the stock was green. This was a green trade, winning trade, winning trade, winning trade, but just not the trades that I should have taken and the ones I should have capitalized on. So on this one, kind of interesting chart pattern. It wasn't really a gapper. I think somebody just called it out, but it wasn't really gapping up that much. It went from $1.01 last night to maybe $1.03, so a 20-cent gap up. But then this morning it looked pretty strong, and it looked pretty strong in the first 5 minutes, and then out of nowhere this thing flushed kind of once, twice, and then flushed again down here. And so at this point I was kind of cautious with this stock. I was like, you know, this stock's flushing, this stock's probably done. Didn't hold any flags. I should have taken some ads through here, anticipating this nice push. Flag there. I guess I didn't see it. Maybe I was trading the other stock at this point, and then looking for the next leg up. This is a perfect flag, but it looks like it probably would have been a break-even trade, maybe slight loser. But then and then it did it again here. Pushes up. I try to buy the dip there. Still a winning trade. And then this thing flushed right through there. I would have been looking for another pullback down to the same area here of that 165. And then looking for the next leg. But flushed right through that area. And so this stock was just feeling heavy, right? But then out of nowhere it goes sideways for a long time. And then it reclaims this 166. And if you look at the daily chart, again, daily charts are your main support and resistances. If you look at the daily chart, there is one... It's like 165. Yeah, there is one resistance right here, so you guys can see right next to my face. So if you go back right here, that right there, if you zoom in on the top of those wicks and put a resistance line right there, that's going to be 165, and that's the next high resistance that this stock had on the daily. And so if you draw that line there that correlates to today, that's going to be this line right here. And after that spike up here, you tucked right under 165 and was holding 165 for about, 15 minutes right here. And then finally you get that nice push here, and then now you're holding 165. And I saw it at this point. I said, this is a daily level. You're kind of flagging right over it right here. So this to me looks like a tiny little flag. Here's the pole. Tiny little flag right there. And I was like, this is probably a good place to buy, but it was so low volume, like you could see this thing absolutely disappeared, which is a good thing. You want to see that sellers are not attacking it, but at that point I was like, this is super low volume. I don't even know if buyers are still in this. I see that push back up here, but then they all disappeared. I hesitated buying there. I didn't get anything there, and then this thing starts opening up. Now it's like, oh my gosh, this thing really wants to rally. Previous high of day was this 1.8 pivot, so that was the previous high day. We absolutely break out through 1.8, almost up to 1.9, which is then when I had my next daily resistance. So now if you look again at my daily, you see up here, there's that 165 from earlier, right here. And then if you go left, 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 then you got kind of almost this double top here, which is 190. And so after 165, I was looking for 190. Breaks 1.8, goes up to almost 190, and then pulls back. And then here again, this is the one that, a pivot play, a 5-minute flag, low volume. Everything was perfect in this setup here. The only thing I guess that shook me out is this push here and instant rejection that closed down there. That's the one that messed me up to not take another ad. But you get the nice push, you got real good volume now, and then you get this flag here. If you look at the 5-minute time frame, you get a perfect 5-minute candle down there. Look at the volume on this push one, and then look at the volume on this red one, like half the volume of the green one, and then comes back down and touches 1.8, which is exactly this pivot right here from that previous high day. So you got to push, you got to pull back, you got a low volume, you got a previous resistance turn into support. I should have loaded the boat right there at 180 right here. I should have added, and it kept this thing out. And I wouldn't have expected this thing to open up as much as it did. But my target would be a new high of day, which would be a 1.9, and then at that point I'm looking at $2, which would be the next whole dollar resistance. But you would have gotten it here 1.8. I did take a stab there. You can see it started pushing up. It pulled down low volume on the 1 minute. I took a stab there, and I had a winning trade there, but not any size that I wanted, and I should have added back in here. And then this thing did the same thing, right? So I have that daily resistance 190 on the daily. And this thing pushes up over 190 and then pulls back down right over 190. Good low volume there. Holds 190. Again, off to the races. And it did it again, right? So daily resistance here, pushes over, flags over it, next level. Daily resistance 1.8, pushes over, flags over it, next one. 190, pushes over, flags over it, next one. And this thing did that several times. At this point, when it was this high, it's a little bit more risky, and it's kind of going parabolic, but just look left and find support places you can take, and then see if you can take a trade. And then the last trade I took on this one around here was for the break of 250, so I chased it at 244 and then sold at 250. So I got a little bit of a breakout trade up there. After that, I literally turned off my computer and walked away, so I didn't trade any of this, and left it alone. But I think this one, if you also look at the daily, there's a daily gap from like 229 all the way up to 261 or something like that, which that basically is the gap right here. And the second you got into that gap, you started holding it. You held the top of the gap and then finally made that push up to 261, which closed the gap. And so that would have been a good trade as well. But I left it alone, and I locked it in a green day. Even though I only took 4 trades on this one, I still walked away with $101 on this trade, on this ticker, which is good. I'm happy with it. And then a total profit of $873 on the day to start the week and finish the month. So hopefully tomorrow we see some action, some follow through, or just any gappers to be able to trade. You guys stay safe out there. You guys go trick or treat, go eat some candy, and I will see you guys tomorrow on the recap or on live trading. You guys hit that notification bell and come trade live with my team and I. I will see you guys then.